So Frank, it sounds like the gas is still going for leasing activity, and specifically in Midtown South.
You're right, Sheena, as always. Absolutely, we had more than 3 million square feet of leasing activity for the month. Technically, that was a slight drop-off since April, but within those numbers was NYU's more than 1 million square foot lease at 770 Broadway, and that was actually the single largest Manhattan lease since late 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So that deal accounted for actually more than a third of the overall Manhattan leasing, and to your point about the pedal still being on the gas, year to date, we've had more than 17 million square feet of leasing volume, and if everything continues at this pace, we're actually going to have the strongest single year of leasing since 2001.
2001. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean that was NYU specifically was a process that was obviously in process for many months.
Yes. So you're saying that we don't get those million square foot deals every day?
No, we don't.
No, that's absolutely right. The foundation of the market continues to be driven by those sub 25,000, sub 15,000 square foot deals. They always make up more than half of the total number of transactions. But to your point, whenever those rare million plus square foot or even half a million square foot deals close, they move the needle and certainly need to be called out.
Right. Another thing that I noticed was the rent has actually slightly decreased. Well, actually kind of significantly decreased on an average basis. What's behind that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's actually more than a 1% drop just this month alone in the average asking rent. And it takes a lot to move the needle. And as you know, in the Manhattan office market, it doesn't always follow the laws of supply and demand as far as the pricing and the availability. So in this month in particular, you had a very large chunk of above average price space come off the market, and that was actually the 600,000 square feet at 522 Fifth Avenue that was purchased by Amazon. That was not included in the leasing activity, but that space had been on the market as available for quite some time.
Right.
So when Amazon purchased it, all that available space came off. That helped drive down the availability rate, and the above average price space came off, pushing down the asking rent average.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially if you look at Midtown South and the sort of comparison in rent over the last year.
Yeah, we've had about a 5% drop off in Midtown South asking rent alone over the last year. It's dropped off more than 6% over the last 2 years, and there's repricing here and there, but much of it is that above average price space coming off the market, and once again to that point, the laws of supply and demand, they don't always follow in the Manhattan office market.
Right, exactly. And there's a pretty wide range of product type in the Midtown South area as well. So.
Yes, absolutely. Quite a few.
And what about sublease supply? I mean, obviously that has also probably impacted pricing, but it seems like sublease supply is really dwindling.
It's gone down. We've actually had now more than 6 months, actually I believe it's 8 months now, of consistent tightening in the overall sublet supply in Manhattan, and some of the markets it's even more impressive. Right now in Manhattan overall, we have the tightest sublet supply since the summer of 2020, so we're getting closer and closer to that March 2020 benchmark, but we've actually achieved it in some areas, and Midtown South actually won the race as the first Manhattan market to recover its pre-pandemic level of sublet availability. This month alone, Midtown South sublet supply tightened to its lowest level since September 2019.
Wow. These are interesting momentum shifts, and we'll have to see, kind of what's next in store for Manhattan.
Same. I wish I had a ribbon to give Midtown South.
Thank you.